welcome to Christian Weather Broadcasting. Repent and put your faith in Jesus, because only He can save you from hell. We deserve hell for our sin. We also deserve death. Hell is called the second death, and Jesus can save you from that. Alrighty, everybody, if you'd like to know more, check out the gospel message in the description. Right now, you're looking at Tropical Storm Ophelia, which has winds of 70 miles per hour, which is close to the strength of a hurricane. A hurricane starts at 74 miles per hour. But regardless of whether this becomes a hurricane or not, I think we will definitely see hurricane effects on land in certain portions due to the fact that this system will have gusts, since it is close to hurricane force, gusts up to hurricane strength. So do be prepared for the possibility of hurricane force gusts in the path of this system. Let's read the key messages for Tropical Storm Ophelia. It says tropical storm conditions are expected along portions of the southeastern and mid-Atlantic U.S. coasts within the tropical storm warning area today into Saturday night. Hurricane conditions are possible within the hurricane watch area early Sunday. There's a danger of life-threatening storm surge inundation over portions of eastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia, including Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds, the Neuse and Pamlico Rivers, the lower James River, and the lower Chesapeake Bay, where storm surge warnings are in place. Residents in these areas should follow advice given by local officials. Heavy rainfall from the system could produce locally considerable flash and urban flooding impacts across portions of the mid-Atlantic, states from North Carolina to New Jersey through Sunday. Swells generated by this system will affect much of the U.S. East Coast through the weekend, likely causing life-threatening surf and rip currents. Alrighty, everybody, so let's take a look at our wind speed probabilities. Where this thing's moving on land, you can see about a 90% chance of tropical storm force winds, and there's about an 80 to 90% chance all the way up into Virginia with you can see a good portion of North Carolina and up into other states. I think, let's see, I'd have to, anyway, other states could experience the possibility of tropical storm force winds. And right now you can see around Wilmington 6 to 10 inches of rain, and outside of Wilmington, I think 4 to 6 inches of rain. So do expect a good portion of rain. You can see certain areas have a moderate, at least 40% chance of flash flooding. And there is also the chance of storm surge, 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Some areas going all the way up to 4 to 6 feet, Neuse and Bay rivers, and Pamlico and Pungo rivers, 4 to 6 feet of storm surge. So that is a lot of storm surge. Albemarle Sound, 2 to 4 feet. Lower Chesapeake Bay, 2 to 4 feet. Lower Potomac River, 2 to 4 feet. So if you live in those areas, all the way up to Delaware Bay, in New Jersey and Delaware, 1 to 3 feet. So if you live in those areas, do be prepared for the possibility of storm surge. You can see storm surge possibilities extending all the way up into Maryland, which is incredible, and the possibility of storm surge going even into the DOC. So do be prepared for storm surge from this system. Alrighty, you can see hurricane watch is in effect, and you can see this thing has a really large wind field. Because of this large wind field, a lot of areas could experience tropical storm force winds. So, and something that also happens with these systems is when they hit land and weaken, that wind extends even further out. So I don't think I'd be surprised to see the wind field on this system get larger when it enters land. So I would say there's a possibility we may see more land affected by tropical storm force winds due to the expansion. But we'll just have to see how that happens. You can see tropical storm warnings extending all the way up into around Maryland, I think Delaware. I'll have to make sure and check on it. Even the DOC, maybe. I'd have to check on that. But you can see extensive, I guess you could say, tropical storm warnings also near the border of South Carolina. Plus, there's a possibility of tropical storm force winds you can see right now in South Carolina. So that is also something to keep an eye out for. Let's see exactly how much there is a possibility for strong wind gusts on land. I'm going to turn on the track on this, and it is forecast as of now to have winds of gusts of 85 miles per hour. So that is over hurricane force strength. So if you live in these areas where this thing is coming ashore, and don't pay attention to the cone, because as you can see, it has a massive wind field. Expect the possibility of 85 mile per hour gusts where this thing comes ashore. You can also see where the strongest of those winds are in that yellow area. I believe those are 50 knot plus winds. So you can see where those stronger winds are in that yellow area. And because of the location of where these winds are, that gives us a better indicator of where these strong winds will come on shore. So I'd say Jacksonville, Havelock, New Bern, Kinston, those areas should definitely pay attention for the possibility of very strong tropical storm force winds, and possibly Wilmington as well could experience those very strong tropical storm force winds. I'll come back with an update on this system at 11 o'clock or shortly after that, or maybe before, depending on when it comes out. Right now, though, let's get into tomorrow's forecast with the GFS model. So 24-hour rain accumulation. According to the GFS, portions of North Carolina could get 4+ inches of rain. So that is some very intense rainfall in those areas. And also portions of South Carolina and around the North Carolina border could be experiencing, again, inches of rain. So if you live in those areas, do get prepared for a significant amount of rain. I do think there's probably a risk for flash flooding. I haven't heard yet that that's a major risk, but I definitely think we should be watching out for flash flooding and be very careful of waters. You can see in the Midwest, some areas experiencing over an inch of rain. It looks like in North Dakota, we could be... Actually, no, South Dakota, couple inches of rain. And over in western Washington on the west coast, you guys are not going to be experiencing a lot of rain, maybe just under an inch. Oregon remaining pretty dry, except for the possibility of minor rain accumulation. California looking dry, except for the possibility of some rain accumulation. And up north, you may get some spotty rain, but the further this thing progresses up through land, that'll be in probably by Sunday, I would expect heavier rain up north. Also, let's take a look at your temperature forecast. What are you going to be looking at? So, in the west, we're looking at probably low to mid 60s, extending possibly higher in eastern Washington, and in western Washington, colder temperatures, possibly 50s to low 60s in Oregon, and looks like maybe low 70s to high 70s in California. In Texas, still really hot, possibly up to 95 tomorrow. In Florida, down near around Orlando, 88, up at the border between Georgia and Florida, 86. And for the southern states, a nice cool down, maybe nice, maybe not, depending on what your preference is. Up in the upstate of South Carolina, around 63 degrees. In North Carolina, 61 degrees. So a little chilly in the 60s in PA. And all the way up north, it's a little warmer in Maine right now. You can see those oranges. Low 60s at the border of Canada. And around high 60s is going to be tomorrow, It's going to happen tomorrow. Around high 60s. And in the Midwest, you're looking at anywhere from the low 60s to around, I'd say, mid 70s, maybe high 70s, and possibly 80s, depending on exactly where you live in the Midwest. And some areas could go down to the 30s, looking at the Montana, looking around that area in the mountains. I believe that is where that is going to be. So some colder temperatures for you all. And soon I'm going to have a snowfall forecast, so get ready for that. Thank you for watching. This has been Christian Weather Broadcasting.